to tell you that I want to tell you the things that you don't want to hear as well as the things you want to hear. And one of those is ethanol. Ethanol is not worth it. It does not help the consumer. Those ethanol subsidies should be phased out. And everybody here on this stage, if it wasn't for the fact that Iowa was the first caucus state, would share my view that we don't need ethanol subsidies. It doesn't help anybody.
Devastating impact. In order to help those nations, President Bush has called for another $770 million in emergency foreign food assistance. But how did the food shortage become so acute so fast? The growing consensus is that the crop deficit is directly related to the increased demand for production of, quote, earth-friendly biofuels, an effort pushed by none other than the vanquished Vice President Al Gore, and all in the name of, quote, saving the planet. Now, this is how it works. Global warming alarmists preach that filling our cars with biofuels, like ethanol, that's the answer to protecting the environment. Then larger portions of food crops are set aside for fuel production, which cuts into the amount of corn, rice, and wheat that make it to families all over the world. In the end, less available food causes skyrocketing prices, and it's low-income families that are hurt the most. Al Gore himself took credit for the increase in ethanol production in a speech that he delivered to the 3rd Annual Farm Conference back in 1998. I was also proud to stand up for the ethanol tax exemption when it was under attack in Congress, at one point supplying a tie-breaking vote in the Senate to save it. The more we can make this homegrown fuel a successful, widely used product, the better off our farmers and our environment will be. But a recent study by 2 professors at the University of Minnesota who specialize in economics and food policy says misguided policies like that one are to blame for the food shortage that we're all feeling now.
And finally, myth number 1. Ethanol is great. We made this myth number 1 because almost all the politicians are saying that this election season. They say we must use more ethanol to help save the environment. But is it true?
Ramp up the availability of ethanol by...
Both Democrats and Republicans. Look at the smiles.
That ethanol works.
The media like ethanol.
It's cheaper and cleaner.
60 Minutes called it the solution.
Ethanol makes a lot of sense.
And the presidential candidates like it.
We've got to get serious about ethanol.
Get serious, they say, because ethanol's cleaner and renewable. It'll slow global warming and protect the environment. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, John Edwards, and Mitt Romney all want the government to subsidize the development of ethanol.
The economics of ethanol make more and more sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Well, if it made a lot of sense, we wouldn't have to subsidize it or mandate its consumption.
Jerry Taylor of the Cato Institute points out that if ethanol were just better, as so many people say, they wouldn't need your tax money to subsidize it.
If you can make a profit in this economy by putting something in the market, the government doesn't need to put a gun to your head.
But ethanol is worth subsidizing, say its cheerleaders.
It's made from corn. We grow corn. It's natural. Just makes it sound better.
But it turns out that it takes just about as much energy to produce ethanol as you get when you burn ethanol. It takes a lot of fossil fuels to make the fertilizer, to run the tractor, to build the silo, to get that corn to a processing plant, to run the processing plant.
And ethanol cannot be moved in pipelines the way gasoline is because ethanol degrades. So using ethanol means using many more big polluting trucks.
To move the corn from the fields of the processing plant, and then to move that corn ethanol from the Midwest to the coast. That takes a tremendous amount of energy.